Hi, everyone. Before we begin today's episode, I wanted to issue a content warning for our listeners. This episode's conversation discusses a few subjects that could be triggering for some. This includes topics involving pregnancy challenges and loss of life, and themes of grief. I recognize these subjects can be difficult and encourage you to prioritize your well being. If you need to skip this episode or come back to it at a later time, please do. The topics will be around the 11-minute mark through about the 14-minute mark, and I'll include timestamps in the episode descriptions to also point this out as well. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this, and thank you for that. I'll now return you to our conversation that I have with Alix, and I hope you enjoy. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Save Point Stories, the show and podcast where I talk about, with my guests, the relationships we have with video games, and the guests share their experiences and stories about their connections with games and the impressions it's left on their lives. And this season has been nothing but that. We've had some amazing guests throughout, and we're not stopping here. We have an amazing guest today who I will introduce in a second. But before that, I am your host, Karosh, and I will be getting into today's episode with none other than one of the most amazing hosts and creators of the show, The Welcome Party. She is one of the best moderators and panelists in the business, with countless internationally renowned conventions under her belt, from WonderCon, San Diego Comic-Con, and many more. She's been a great friend and today's guest. Thank you, Alix, for joining me today.
Oh, thanks for having me, Karosh. I'm excited to be here. And it's been such a smooth setup for the two of us for this episode. So
it's just gone off without a hitch.
Yeah.
Honestly. I
wish on the record that way.
100%, yeah. Officially and without anyone to dispute it, this is probably the most seamless and smooth episode ever. Knock on every piece of wood I have at my disposal. But is there anything I missed? Is there anything you'd like to tell our viewers about yourself or anything like that that I may have overlooked?
No, you probably said way more about myself than I ever would.
Okay, well, I mean, just something to just our friendship and our history. Yeah, you're one of the hosts and creators of the Welcome Party, which I had the lucky fortune to be kind of like behind the scenes support of for a minute, as well as many other projects and conventions. We've been on panels together. You've helped moderate me and guide me in my journey into getting into that, and I've been around to help and support in numerous efforts in your stuff. So I think we've just become more and more, and we just get into shenanigans. Everything in around that.
The shenanigans are really the best part of it all. The rest is just fluff.
Exactly, it's the glue. Exactly. So, without further ado, let's get into today's episode. And I'm very curious, and I think our viewers are. What game did you pick for today's episode?
Yeah, I chose Animal Crossing, specifically New Horizons, as that is the only Animal Crossing that I've ever played.
Oh, okay. Very nice. Very nice. I want to, for those unfamiliar with this game, or they may know it, but they don't know maybe all the things, I'd like to give a quick blurb. So, Animal Crossing New Horizons was a game that came out in 2020. It's a social simulation game that was developed by and published by Nintendo for the Nintendo Switch. It was the fifth game in the Animal Crossing series. In New Horizons, the players control a character who moves to a deserted island after purchasing a getaway package from Tom Nook, and accomplishing assigned tasks in the island and developing the island and its neighbors and all your villagers on there as you choose. You go through gathering, crafting items, customizing the island, and developing the community amongst all of your villagers. So, with that in mind, Alix, why does this game mean so much to you?
So, I was never a huge gamer. I've definitely played games. I finished a couple. I am halfway through Kingdom Hearts. Well, I am a piece through Kingdom Hearts because really only 1 and 2.
Okay.
We'll probably never go the rest.
I mean, it's a long and sordid history with that game.
Yeah. Once it started jumping platforms, I was gone. But I never really owned my own system.
Okay.
Outside of the original Game Boy that wasn't in color, the black and white gray one, that didn't even have the backlit screen. I had that, but I had to share it with my brother, so I never had one. And then in 2020, I don't know if we can all kind of remember why that sounds familiar and what kind of happened around that. Yeah. But we were, I wasn't really going out as much for some reason.
Uh-huh.
And my husband had a Switch, and he downloaded this game, and he was like, hey, I think you'll really like it. And of course, I instantly got hooked. It was so much fun. And then my like very tight core group of friends all downloaded the same game. I
Oh,
even had my best friend lives in New York, and she went and got her own Switch literally to play with the rest of us. And that was my COVID experience. I mean, I was still working at the time, so it was
yeah,
very stressful. I know everybody has different experiences through it, but mine was very
yeah.
much working with the public and getting to come home and still be able to decompress with my friends and just kind of take that stress away. It was really nice to not feel so alone. So that is, the quick version of why this game means a lot to me.
Yeah, no, there's so much to unpack there and so many different elements. And I do want to get into that.
Yeah.
I want to kind of talk about like, can you kind of walk me through or share a little bit of that beginning experience and how you were introduced to it? Was it something that spoilers for viewers, we will have your husband on the show in this as well. But for Jason, how did that begin? Like, how did it all start? Was it him trying to show it to you, or like, could you walk us through that?
He loves to try to get me into different things.
Okay.
So it's very much, the welcome party is based off of introductory stuff, right? How do you get into something? And he knows I have a very specific style. When we were first starting to date, I would try lots of different things, figure out what I liked and didn't like. And since then, he's really curated the things that he recommends to me.
Mm-hmm.
And being that I wasn't a big gamer, he thought that Animal Crossing would be a very good introductory style game because I didn't need to be hard controlling. I didn't need to, jump on Steam and know the keys. It was very calm and easy for me to play. So that was really how it started. And I love cutesy stuff. Like, let's be real. I mean, background, hello.
For our video watchers, there's a lovely assortment of various plushies of all kinds of cuteness. So that's something to appreciate.
It's definitely my vibes of just that cute little. And I love task-oriented things. And I know logically the stupidity of going to work and then coming home and jumping on a video game where you're doing work. But I love that task. I know what I'm doing. I know what's next. It brings my ADHD brain into focus a little bit.
Okay.
So yeah, he was spot on with like getting me into the game. It was so easy to do.
And was it something, and I know this is from the stories I've heard in my own experiences, so many times the gaming experience starts from you spectating potentially, or they just handing the controls off to you. Was that ever a thing did you two play together, or was it more so like a watch me drive, or here, take the reins and go for it?
It was very much here, take the reins and go for it.
Okay.
He liked to sit next to me sometimes, and he'd be on his iPad doing something else, and I'd be playing, and that was kind of our experience. He'd have headphones in and watching something, but we were next to each other,
Yeah.
Or he'd be on Steam, and I'd sit in his office and play. So
it's almost like, I think it's something our generations have seen more of, where it's shared time but doing your own thing. I know there's a term for it, but I'm lacking on that. But that is very much like I think especially at that time with isolation and with so many stressors, it's like I do want to escape into something, but I just want to be around comfort. I want to in various forms.
Yeah. And
there's
he
something
was also working, by the way. So when we're talking about those stresses, it wasn't just me. He was going through the exact same stress levels. So it was really important for both of us to make sure we were getting time to decompress on our own, if that makes sense.
No, very much. I like, speaking from my own experience too, and I can relate, is like that stress. It's like sometimes it isn't like you don't want to just sit and do another joint activity or collaborate. It's like, just let's you're my comfort. Let's enjoy that together and like find our events and find our cathartic ways of doing it. You hit on something about the tedium and like how that can not initially appeal as a oh, I want to go and do this in a game, but I see that so much, and like I also struggle with that with Animal Crossing. Like, did you have that going into this, or was that something that like you've had in the past? Because I know like games like Sims exist as well, kind of do a similar thing. When did you realize that you like would find enjoyment out of something like that?
I knew at work I really liked those really easy tasks of just go do that thing over and over again.
Mm.
If you watch Parks and Rec, there's like the episode where he's just filling the envelopes and like doesn't even realize. And I was like, oh, I relate to that. So I kind of knew that was already sort of my vibe.
Okay.
And then with this game, it really just amplified that, where as I was playing and my husband would ask me questions, and it would be a lot of, oh, well, what are you doing now? Or why are you doing this? And I was like, well, I know I could do that thing, but they gave me this task and I really need to do this other thing. And somebody lost an item and I have to find that item before I can go do anything else. Like, this is what my focus is right now.
Yeah.
So it became more amplified as I played. And I noticed it as well in Arceus.
Oh, Pokemon, yeah.
Yeah, I loved that one where it had the like checklists. And I'm like, okay, I gotta complete these tasks and do this thing. I love that feel in games because I think it takes the stress of doing the wrong thing away.
Right. I agree. I think there's something there too of, especially when you look at it under the amplification of the COVID and the quarantine period of time, how so much of routine just falls in array. And
yes.
I think an element that I found and I think is part of, and one of the many aspects to this is also just having that balance of routine, having some element of, I can go back here and I know what I want to do and I can achieve things when everything else is out of my control and I can't get into it. And so there's something real strong to be said about that.
How open do you want this podcast? I know this is going to stay in there, but how open do you want this to be? And can I trigger warning it if we're going to get into it?
You can trigger warning anything you feel like we get into that is concerning or anything like that.
I will trigger warning with, I'll say mental health, loss, and pregnancy issues for anybody who needs to step away now. But right before lockdown, so March 2020, I did have 3 people I lost within 3 weeks. So literally someone died, next week someone died, next week someone died. One of them was a family member, one of them was a friend, and one of them was my mother's best friend, and I had to be the one to tell her. Wow. And I didn't get to be with her, and I didn't get to obviously go to any of the funerals. A week later, I found out I was pregnant. And a week after that, I had a miscarriage. Wow. Then lockdown. So, no, I didn't get to see my family. I went through it with Jason. And it was, even in the hospital, like it was really hard to get in. You were isolated. And so when you're talking about control, I was really in it of like just kind of starting to spiral at that point. I was gaining like weird tics at work where we had to wear gloves because we were touching money.
Yeah.
And I was like snapping my glove because I couldn't contain and I couldn't sit still. And my anxiety had shot through the roof. And I was kind of going through these traumas and I never really got to finish any of them. I never really got that closure because of where we were in the world.
Yeah.
You didn't get to mourn with your friends. You didn't get to mourn with your family. And so this like little, it sounds so stupid, but like this little peaceful island where everything was good and everything was happy and you knew what was expected, you knew what was going to happen and there were no risks. That was such a safe space for me. And then it brought in where my friend down the street and my friend in New York were in the same place as me, that we could be in the safe space together. I wasn't as alone.
Yeah.
And we could all kind of exist there. We could be on each other's islands. And we were FaceTiming the whole time we did. I mean, I think it's the only reason I got through that time that I did.
That sounds, no, I can't imagine. I fully empathize. And I'm glad you had those structures there to help you through that. And I think there's an importance there of like, it was a vessel. It wasn't, you could have had probably, I'm sure, a call with your friends, but then it like you have this entity to act as like a means of that, to then be like, let's just focus on whatever's here. Come to my island. Let's look at the stars together.
100%.
How did you said you had your friends there with you, and did you ever did that circle grow? You said you had your friend from from the other side of the country.
Yeah.
Were there like other people that also just were like, hey, we're part of that, like groups of that?
There was a group of about 5 or 6 of us.
Huh.
that all ended up with this game by maybe month 1 of pandemic, because it dominoed where I was like, oh, I'm playing this. Someone's like, oh, I thought about it. I'll download. Well, I want to play. And so we just kind of all got in at the same time. And then what we would end up doing, because I think I was the only one working with the public at that time. They were all either, let go, laid off, or working from home. So we did a lot. It's going to sound so stupid, but so specific. We would FaceTime each other, and then we would set the phones down. There was no reason to FaceTime at that point, because we literally, like, if you looked at the camera, it was just everybody's ceilings. It was so ridiculous. But I don't know why we didn't just call or something, but we would FaceTime each other, and then we would set it down. And sometimes we would jump on each other's islands, and sometimes we'd just be talking about anything. Like, we talk about life, we talk about TV shows we were watching, whatever it was, and then be like, oh, I have so-and-so on my island. Does anybody need to come over? And then we'd like all come over, or, oh, I need this. Oh, well, yeah, let's all go and do this thing. And then when my New York friend got her Switch, she ended up putting, she changed the location for her, so she didn't do North America.
Oh,
so
okay.
her island was opposite of all of our islands.
Okay.
So we were like filling up just so cheaty, but we were filling
There's
up
no shame here.
the fish and bugs faster because we had different weathers.
Yeah, different environments, different weathers, all that jazz.
Yeah, so it became kind of this fun thing. And, if somebody was decorating, we wouldn't go to their island because they were trying to, redo the island. And so we respect it. But we'd get goofy and we'd do museum visits, just really silly stuff. But, on FaceTime, or we wouldn't do anything together. And we'd just be talking and doing our own thing. And yes, we could have called, like, for sure. But I think if we had called, it would have been maybe once a week, once a month. Yeah. And there was something about being able to play while we were existing that just kept us going almost every day.
Wow. Yeah. No. I'm kind of curious when you had. I feel like the play styles also vary when you're just playing in your own space on your own time. But when you were together, you mentioned a few of those activities that you guys would do. What was there any specific activities that you all that you really enjoyed or that you really have strong memories of?
Island tours.
Okay, tell me about this.
Because we all would theme or decorate our islands. What I remember the most clearly was my best friend did she was obsessed with the magicians at the time.
Okay.
So her entire island was based off of the magicians. And then my other friend, he had like video game wrestling themed. So he had like the Godzilla with the wrestling ring, and it was, okay, whose island are we doing today? And we'd all go to the island, and then she would give us the full tour. Like, okay, this is this thing over here. This statue means this thing over here is that. And we'd literally like just do a full tour of the island for, no reason but fun.
You've highlighted some of your friends, but what were some of your favorite themes and designs for yours that you worked on?
I was really bad at it.
Okay. Was there anything that you tried to go for, or were you just like, I want to try an experiment and do whatever?
I'm trying to think what I was really obsessed with at the time that I was like trying to design my island after, because I haven't opened it in a long time, and I probably should have done it before we did this. My big obsession was actually, this sounds awful. My obsession was completing the things more than the design.
Okay. No, I relate to that.
I was the first one to complete like the museum with the fish and the fossils and that was my big thing. And then I got really good at the turnips because they had like online stuff where you could, right? You remember this? And then you could you'd find a thing and they'd let you in. And okay, so I started doing that and I got really good at it. And then I became like this weird pimp where my friends would be like, oh, I really want this thing. I'm like, I have that thing.
I got you.
I was like handing out money to them, dropping off bags. Oh, you need me to buy this item for you? I got you.
Treat yourself.
Yeah, it was just so stupid. Oh, I know what my island was designed after. It was Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Oh, no way! How?
I had the pond with the two fish for the moon god.
Oh my god! Then, okay, from season 1.
Yes, and somebody came out. I didn't design any of the clothes. I did try. I do not have the skill set. but somebody made the full design of the girl that turns into the moon.
Oh, real? Okay.
And so I had like her outfit on, and then I had some like moon designs around it. So I went very hard into like the moon goddess like feel from Avatar and the waterbender vibes.
I can imagine whenever a meteor shower was happening, you were like, your island may have had a lot of this stuff.
And then for some reason, pet turtles, because you know when you put the turtles out, they weren't in a container.
Yeah,
And that
yeah.
made me giggle, so I started putting pet turtles.
I
So dumb.
no, I think I share your mindset in that I focus so much on accomplishing aspects and really delving and developing my island. It wasn't until because I did a similar thing as you, where my friends and I, whenever work ended, we would you would see everyone switch online, just be like online, 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 and everyone would go to their island, and then everyone's checking everything to be like, okay, where does anyone warrant a visit because of their turnip prices or anything. And I think I was trying to make it. I had seen so many amazing designs from other people. I was like, wow, that's well thought out. And I was never good at coming up with it myself as well. So you're in shared company
Oh,
here.
good.
But one, I saw one that inspired me, and it was they made their island like Renaissance fair. And
Oh.
this group of friends that I had, we had always had the habit of every year going annually to Ren Fair, and that year we couldn't. And so I made my island Ren Fair, and I was like, everyone come on, let's get on a call. And we were all like having drinks at home, but also dressed up on the call. So like we were dressed up, and then our characters were dressed up.
That's so
And
cute.
and I fully like it was in that moment I 100% like cannot emphasize your point more of like that commiseration, that like, hey, we're trying to find some normalcy here, we're trying to remind ourselves what is lacking in this chaos and what is all this stuff. And it was so much like, you don't think it's a lot, like you're like it's a silly game, it's this, but it's doing more than like it gets the credit for in so many more.
Totally. I mean, when you had asked me like what game do you want to talk about, I remember trying to think like, okay, well, I played Duck Hunt, but I didn't really own Duck Hunt. And I played Kingdom Hearts, but I'm not really attached to it. And I'm trying to go through like, okay, you know, old school Mario, my first game, but do I have that nostalgic attachment? And then it kind of clicked to me, and it was between this, well, you know, this, Among Us, and Overcooked, which
Yeah.
are the three that I got into during COVID. They were my
Yeah.
three escapes. So that's kind of how I got there. But my best experiences and my biggest connection was 100% finding the normalcy within this, like, as vanishing to islands, you know?
Now, when you were playing just on your own island, not when in between hanging out with friends, how did you interact with your villagers? Because to me, there's an element of like, kind of like Sims, where you're personifying everything and you're adding some personality, and you have your own fiction that you develop for it. Like, did you have a similar experience?
Okay. Here's the thing.
Talk me through this.
I did it like a checklist, right?
Okay.
So I ran over and I was like, hi, I said hi, I said hi, I said hi. Okay, I got you a gift, I got you a gift, I got you a gift. Oh, you got a lost item. And you know what I didn't realize was, because I just wanted the stupid pictures, which I never got. Not a single one of them gave me a stupid picture. And I never got my island rating all the way to like...
Oh, to the 5-star?
Yes, because she kept saying I had like too many trees or too many flowers. I'm like, are you kidding me? Oh, we were flower breeding like you would not believe.
Yes. Okay, you and I are the same. I was a maniac for like a month and a half about that stuff. Did you get the blue rose?
We did. We got one blue rose.
That's all you need. That's all.
And I say we because again, we were like working as a family for this.
Yeah.
One of my friends, she had a bunch of gold roses, so then we'd come to our island and take the roses for our, you know, like it was very much like we were all helping each other.
Yeah.
But one of the people who was playing with us, she has her doctorate in like biology or biochem, something really smart. So she was the one who had solved the flower breeding for us.
Oh,
where
okay.
she would tell us like how to do it, what to do. But I had this whole like, I had an orchard and it was all nice and clean. And then I had flowers down every path. And I was like, okay, I got all the trees, got all the flowers, got all the creatures. all I'm missing are these stupid pictures. And I didn't understand that, like, there's specific gifts you have to give them. It wasn't just throw your trash at them. And by the time I had solved that, it was too late.
Okay. Did you ever?
Stop.
What was your experience with, like, if a villager wanted to leave? Did you?
Depended on the one. I wasn't letting ketchup go for anything. If they're cute, they stay. If they were creepy, out they go. But I never bullied. Let's be so clear here. I wasn't running around hitting them with nets. I was well behaved. I was a good neighbor. I might not have given them the gifts, little things like that. But if they were cute, they got to stay.
Okay. Did you have with the home design as well? Because there's so much you're doing to the island. There's so much you're doing with the collections, with the villagers. But another element that I feel like could go in its own little space is interior decorating. Like, walk me through your home. Like, you didn't put plushies everywhere?
I didn't have plushies everywhere. I had a game room. I had a dance room, kitchen because I felt like you had to. Awkward living room where nothing could space properly. And again, I could not quite get to that top because they would rate your design.
Yeah.
I could never get to the top. No matter what I did, I couldn't get there.
Yeah. I almost feel like that rating system was my undoing, because it stopped making me focus on wanting to do what I wanted to do sometimes.
Yes.
And more so fixate, like you're saying, on what's my island rating, and I couldn't, the fact that it was there, I was like, I am now benchmarking myself against that. But,
well, and I liked my orchard. I liked that I could come in. I had an orchard of money trees at one point. I liked my system. And so then they'd be like, oh, you have too many trees. And it's like, well, I don't want to lose my trees because it looks pretty. So why is nature I was kind of like you. I got so frustrated with it. And I felt like I was just throwing things at the wall. Oh, I have a couch, toss it in. Or I have a bed, toss it in. Whatever is going to give me this rating so that they'll leave me the heck alone.
I want peace.
Yes. And I never quite got there. And so I felt like my home was never what I wanted it to be.
Right.
But also the decorating wasn't really, I could care less. If I could have somebody come over and decorate my home for me, I would have loved that, because it's not like I'm hanging out in there. It's not like
you have the island, so there's a lot larger things that you're going about. I felt that way as well.
Oh, but one of my friends did Disneyland and they made their home the Haunted Mansion. It was the dopest thing I'd ever seen. They literally had Pirates of the Caribbean line set up. You went through the line. They worked at Disney. But it was so impressive. I was like, please don't come to my island and look at my decorations, because you will not be impressed.
At the time, I didn't do too much. I just once I had the basement, I kind of treated it like a little game room arcade space.
Yeah.
But at that time too, I had still been a part of the prior podcast I was with, the weekly DLC with the Daniels, and we, during COVID times, we would record still, but we wanted a video element. So we would go to each other's island. And for mine, I had mics and a table and a mixer, and we'd have our characters just sit there. And in order for the game not to go to sleep, you just see us occasionally wiggle.
Right.
Just
dance or something.
I fully, that was the area I struggled with the most. But I wanted to also ask, just I know at the height of COVID and with the quarantine, that was where you were introduced to the game. How long did you stick with the game? You sound like now you're not playing it anymore. Did your views of the game, or did your time with the game change over time?
I got obsessed with Fall Guys. I think that was my Animal Crossing shift, but we played about 850 some hours. So it's not like I didn't put in the time.
That's respectable. That's more than respectable. There's no street cred being repped here. I was just more so for some it becomes a forever game, but I imagine as conditions evolve in our world, that element of where you needed to find it may have changed. So
I think part of why I fell off of it too was the enjoyability of what I focus on.
Okay.
Because I think if you're the person who likes decorating and designing, you can play that game forever. There's always something to do. But when I feel like I've maxed out, there's nothing else to catch. There's no other, the holiday tasks start to become exactly the same. And really all that's left is appeasing those designer gods in a way that I'm unhappy with. It kind of takes away, for me, the replayability at that point.
Okay.
Because it took my focus out.
Okay.
That makes sense?
That makes sense very much. Yeah.
It also caused a fight in my house, but other than that, it's fine.
Oh, okay. Did you two ever play together? Like,
No, I don't think he really played. I made him a character when you could make like a second character. But that was really the intention of getting more stuff for mine. And then I found that it was too much effort to switch back and forth. So I gave up on that really fast.
Okay.
It was his Switch. Let's just be so clear on this. Okay. One of the flaws in Animal Crossing at that time, and I don't know if it's still a flaw today, was that you could not move your island from one Switch to another Switch. And at some point, what game is it that he plays?
Wildermyth.
Nope, starts with an F. Fire Emblem.
Oh, Fire, yeah. Okay.
So there was a new Fire Emblem coming out. And I remember very clearly he was like, hey, just to give you a heads up, my game is coming out in a month and I'm going to need my Switch back. Yeah, sure, babe. Babe, my game is coming out next week and I'm going to need a Switch back. And my face, I was like, there's absolutely no way. Because, again, we're still kind of in lockdown. And I was like, I'm not giving up my safe space. And two of the girls that were playing, my best friend in New York and her sister lives here, probably like 5 minutes from where I was working at the time. And so I guess they had told their mom, and I'm favorite child in their family. I've known their family since I was 10. I'm favorite child in their household. And they had told their mom that Jason was trying to take away my Switch, which was his. Again, it was totally his. And they were kind of upset because we wouldn't get to play together anymore. And, you know, peak lockdown, their mom went to, you couldn't get Switches if you remember. They were like gone. Yeah. Their mom went to the old people hours at Target. And she was just wandering around. And that's how we got toilet paper for part of the time too, is she'd get it at like the old people hours and then drop it off to me at work to take home.
That's so nice.
Paper towels, cleaning supplies, like anything we couldn't get our hands on because we couldn't go shopping. Yeah. And she found a Switch. They were literally unboxing it and taking them out to put them on the shelf. And she was like, oh, can I have one of those? Took it out, swings by my work, and she goes, just transfer the money to T. I'll say the letter so we don't out anybody. She's like, just transfer the money to T, but she said you needed this. Handed it to me and left. I was like,
I'm calling out sick today.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God. And so then it was this really funny conversation where Jason was trying to dance around and he's like, you know, we have this new Switch. And like, I just looked him straight and I was like, I don't want the new Switch. I can't move my eyelid. Like, that's the whole point. I need the old one, which I probably dropped by now anyway. So it's probably better if you just take the new one and don't look back. So that's how we ended up with the second Switch, was because of Animal Crossing and thankfully my best friends.
The friends and the family and loved ones and everyone around. And now you two can play Cat Quest. Maybe a future episode I have you guys on.
Which we smashed, by the way.
You're now a pro gamer. Esports cat quester. The headphones now make more sense. I have one more question for you, and it's, if you were in the room with the Animal Crossing and Nintendo folks right now, and they're like, we need to make sure we get the next game out, but we can't do that until we've talked to Alix and got what she thinks is valuable, would make a great addition or change in the next game. What would you say in that room? What would you bring to the next game?
I think for me, it would be increasing the playability.
Okay.
So bringing in new things, they did the seasons for a reason, right? They knew that they were gonna need new things to come out as it went.
Yeah.
And maybe part of that's our fault because we played in 2 different regions. But I think after a year, when we've gone through it all, I don't need to come back to it again. I think that's when it would have been really cool to drop new bugs, new animals, those new kind of expansion-y things. They did the vacation one.
Yeah.
But that was so focused on decorating.
It was on one element of it, yeah.
Yeah, and that was the one element that I didn't love. Okay. So I think for me, it's the energy and time and effort that they put into the decorating aspect. I would have loved if they had given to other things.
Yeah, I think a way in which to make the multiplayer, like playing with other friends, a little bit more seamless would have been a good addition.
And also, getting to, I would say, better interactions with like the little neighbory people.
Okay.
But better is the right word. But I think a little more control over them, like who's moving in to begin with.
Yeah. Maybe
because that was such a negative aspect when you got I didn't get him, thankfully. But the creepy bear that has all the cameras in the house.
Yes.
It just throws off the whole vibe of your island.
Yeah.
In such a way.
It's not that they're bad, it's that we're not working.
Yeah. It's not you, it's me.
Yeah.
But I need you to leave my island. And evicted. Yeah.
Okay, I'll make sure that we talk to Nintendo about that.
Yeah, if you could get on that.
And to make sure that island transferring is a much more seamless experience.
Thank you. I mean, I don't know now if it's a thing, but okay, you've got the Switch 2 coming out. So what happens if I want my island to go to the Switch 2?
These are very important questions. I hope they have answers for, because I do know, it's still very much a vibrant community. People restart their islands and make it a journey. I remember in the vein that you're talking about, and that you've shared some stories of watching in other games, not necessarily always playing them, but just viewing it and living through with others. I remember seeing people sharing almost vlog-esque videos, but of Animal Crossing. It's here's today's journey on my episode. I'm like, what are you doing with your island? It was almost like that reality TV to help me feel a connection there. And I'm sure that's going to be a question to come up with future generations and iterations of it. But I do want to say, is there any closing thoughts you had that you wanted to share or emphasize?
I think for me, if I could just, for audience sake, so many times when people say something like, oh, Animal Crossing is my favorite game, or oh, that had the biggest impact, I feel like these kind of games just get blown off, ignored. People get kind of condescending with it, oh, that's not a real gamer, you're not a real gamer. And so my biggest thing is you don't know what something's gonna do to get somebody into it. Animal Crossing really was the start, but I do play Fall Guys, and I do play Zelda, and I do play Among Us and Overcooked, and those may be real games to them or not real games to them. But if somebody had really given me pushback, I don't know if I would have played this game and had that escape at that time, just because of where I was. And so my biggest thing for people is, if somebody's playing a game that may not be your style or your respect level, it doesn't affect you. It doesn't impact you. So, be respectful of every style of game and try them all out, because you also don't know. I love cutesy games, so I love fun, but I also those cozy games, but I love the chaos games.
Yeah.
Where everything's on fire. Those don't correlate, and I understand that. So, for one aspect, if you started a game, you like it, try other things. And the other is respect what everybody loves. And be nice about it, because at the end of the day, a gaming community is a gaming community, no matter what the game is.
100%. Could not agree more. These are you don't know the experiences people are getting out of them too. To everything that you pointed out today in our conversation. So I think that is such a strong message to send. Thank you, Alix, and thank you again for being on the show. This is the season 1. I want to kind of share is. There's not necessarily a theme with the subject matter, and I've shared in my episodes here that may be something I do at a future date. But the way in which I've been theming this season is very important to me, and it means a lot to me. Is I wanted to have the guests who are on the show be people who have meant a lot to me and who have contributed so much to my enjoyment and passions of creativity, and they're also being elements of it or being alongside me, past, present, and future. And you've been in all three elements of that in my past, my present, and going forward. And it means a lot to me having a supporter like that, a guide, and someone who I can just be silly with in between all of that. So this is kind of like an element of like the thank you for that. So as much as this is the smoothest episode that we've had run on the show.
This absolute smoothest.
I do want to just, that was the theme of season 1, and wanted to share that. So thank you again for being a part of that.
Well, thank you so much for having me and including me in this. I'm so proud of how far you've come. You really have grown so much in yourself, and I'm just excited to see how it keeps growing. So
we're on that journey together, whether we want to,
whether we want to be or not.
We're gonna keep crossing paths and doing our things.
Trash trades.
Yeah, trash. Exactly. Jason, ignore this part. But is there anything you would like to share or plug or point them to find you or anything like that? This is the opportunity to share that with the viewers. So please.
No, this is the part where I'm really terrible. All of my social medias are the same, so it's that way. Yeah, at Alix Galit. You can find me there. For those people who are listening, it's at ALIXY GALIXY. So Alix Galit. And then my show is called The Welcome Party. We're going to be launching on YouTube this year. So we spent a lot of time on Twitch, thanks to Karosha's help. And we are now going to be transitioning to YouTube, just for easier for our lives right now. So you'll be able to find that at Welcome Party Pod for podcast. And that'll be, we're on Instagram, YouTube, and eventually where all podcasts are found once we launch.
Exciting. And make sure to keep an eye out for panel scheduling and stuff, because at any convention you're at, there is a 90% chance you will see Alix involved in some capacity. So thank you again, viewers, for listening and watching this episode and being a viewer of the show, and we'll see you at the next save point.